Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today with a question about, well, about inheritance.
Mm,
And usually, when we use that word, we're thinking about your grandmother's silverware or, I don't know, inheriting your dad's nose.
right. Something tangible.
Exactly. But today, we are looking at a different kind of inheritance.
Yeah.
It's much heavier, much more durable, and unfortunately, it's usually invisible until it's way too late. We're talking about the inheritance of beliefs.
Ah, yeah. The stuff that gets passed down without a will, without anyone even, realizing the transaction has taken place.
Yes. And to get into this, we are looking at a really fascinating piece of material. It's technically day 20 from a much larger course on mirror work and affirmations.
Okay.
Now, I have to be honest with you, on the surface, this text, it presents itself as a parenting guide.
Right. How to manage toddlers.
You'd think so. But, and this is why I wanted to dive into it today, as I was reading through it, I realized this is a total Trojan horse.
A Trojan horse. That implies a bit of a trick.
It is a trick, but like a benevolent one. It claims to be about helping kids, but you open it up and suddenly you realize, oh, wait a minute, this isn't just about my kid.
It's about you.
This is actually therapy for me.
Hmm.
It forces you to look at how you treat yourself just as much as how you treat the next generation.
That dual track is really the core of the source material, isn't it? It gets at this really difficult truth. You cannot effectively teach a child to be resilient or confident or self-loving if you are secretly or even openly berating yourself.
On the background, yeah.
The text essentially argues that to stop passing down insecurities, we first have to heal the parts of ourselves that inherited those same insecurities from our parents. It's a loop.
Which is a pretty heavy lift for a Tuesday.
Hmm.
But I promise, the source approaches it with a surprising amount of lightness. I mean, there is literally glitter involved later on.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Glitter.
But before we get to the arts and crafts, we have to establish the problem. And the text opens with this concept of the sponge effect.
This is foundational. We hear that cliche all the time. Kids are sponges,
All
right?
the time.
But the text takes it a step further. It argues that children absorb every word said to them, but without filtration. And that lack of a filter is the dangerous part.
That's the key difference. As an adult, if I'm in traffic and someone yells at me or a coworker is snappy, I have a filter. I can say, okay, that guy's having a bad day.
Right, she's just stressed.
I don't internalize it.
Right, because you have a developed prefrontal cortex and a solidified sense of self. You know who you are. A child doesn't.
Not yet.
They're still building that identity brick by brick. So as the source emphasizes, when a child hears a label, they don't interpret it as an observation of their behavior.
In that moment.
No, they interpret it as a definition of their existence.
The source lists some of these labels, and honestly, reading them was a little visceral. It lists things like stupid, lazy, troublemaker. Or the big one that I think haunts a lot of people, not good enough.
And look at the tense the text uses there. It says, we believed them. It uses the past tense because it's asking you, the reader, to look back at your own childhood.
Yeah.
If you were told you were a troublemaker at age 6, you didn't think, my actions are currently causing a disruption. You thought,
I am trouble.
my essence is bad.
Yes. That distinction between I did something bad and I am bad, that is where the shame takes root. The source has this line, little did we realize how much these beliefs hurt or how deeply embedded our pain and shame would become.
It's describing a scar that forms before you're even old enough to know you're bleeding.
Wow.
It creates a subconscious script. And what's so fascinating about this is that it highlights a massive blind spot in our culture. I mean, we have this sophisticated education system. We teach kids algebra, history, the periodic table.
Right, for 12, 16 years.
But the author notes this glaring omission. I was not taught in school that my choice of words would have an effect on my life.
That line stopped me in my tracks. No one taught me that my thoughts were creative. 'Cause it seems so obvious when you say it out loud, but you're right. I definitely don't remember a self-talk 101 class in high school.
It just doesn't exist in the standard curriculum. We prioritize external knowledge, how the world works, over internal regulation, how we work.
Yeah.
The source explicitly says, no one ever taught me that I was worth loving. So you end up with highly educated adults who can solve, I don't know, complex engineering problems, but...
Can't look in a mirror without finding a flaw.
Exactly. Or feeling unworthy of success.
And the stakes for fixing this educational gap, they seem to be getting higher. The source actually references the modern context we're living in right now. It mentions that children today are steadily barraged with news about the critical state of the world.
That's a crucial point. If you think about the stress load on a child 30 years ago versus today, I mean, the volume has turned way, way up.
They have devices in their pockets delivering global crises in real time.
Real time. And they're navigating a world that feels so fragile. Climate anxiety, political polarization, social media pressure. The source argues that because the external world is so chaotic, the internal foundation needs to be concrete.
So self-love isn't just a nice-to-have fluffy concept anymore.
No, it's a survival mechanism. It's armor. If a child believes they are not good enough, they're going to crumble under that external pressure. But if they have that armor of self-worth,
They navigate the world differently.
completely differently, they make choices based on what they deserve, not what they fear.
Okay, so we have established the stakes incredibly high. We want to build this armor for the kids in our lives and, back to the Trojan horse, for ourselves.
Right.
The source moves from the why to the how pretty quickly. And this is where we get into the practical exercises.
An application phase. This is where the rubber meets the road.
The first one is something I'm calling the Jessica method. The source recommends watching a specific viral video, Jessica's Daily Affirmation. Have you seen this? It's been around for a while.
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic, a perfect example of mirror work in its purest form. It's a little girl, maybe 4 or 5, standing on her bathroom counter.
And she is just hyping herself up. It is not subtle. She's shouting, I like my whole house. I like my family. I like my hair. I like my pajamas.
It's pure, unadulterated confidence.
It really is.
And then notice what she isn't doing. She isn't fixing anything. She's not checking her teeth or smoothing a cowlick.
Or critiquing.
No. She's engaging with her reflection as a friend. She's bringing energy to the mirror, not trying to get validation from it.
That's a great way to put it. So the source says to use this video as a template. It outlines a morning routine where you stand in front of a mirror with your child. And I think this is the scary part for a lot of adults. It says you have to do it too.
That is the friction point. The source says you can start this exercise by doing your own mirror work and inviting your child to join in. But think about the relationship most adults have with the mirror. It's adversarial.
Totally.
We use it to scan for flaws. Oh, there's a wrinkle. I look tired. I need to lose weight.
We treat it like a harsh performance review we have to get through every morning.
Exactly. So for a parent to stand there and say, I am great, or I love my smile, it feels unnatural, it feels fake, it triggers that internal critic.
Of course.
But the source persists. It insists that children don't do what we say, they do what we do. You can't lecture a child into self-love while you're actively criticizing yourself in front of them.
The specific affirmations it suggests for the kids are just gold. They aren't these high-minded philosophical statements. They're grounded in a kid's reality.
Yeah, they're simple.
Things like, I am great, I have cool hair, and my absolute favorite, I can dance like a TV star.
I can dance like a TV star. I love that one. It focuses on capability and joy, not just aesthetics.
It's so uninhibited.
Mhm.
And the instructions emphasize that you should ask the child, what are you happy about? It's training the brain to scan for the good.
It is cognitive reframing. If you start the day scanning for the good, I like my hair, I like this toy, you prime your brain to keep seeing good things all day.
And if you start by scanning for flaws,
Your brain will dutifully find more flaws. The source says to schedule this daily, even for just 2 minutes. It's about repetition.
and again, this puts the pressure on us to be that shining example. But I appreciate that the source offers an escape hatch for perfectionism. It says, our role as parents is not to be perfect.
That's so important for listeners to hear. The goal isn't to never have a good day. It's to demonstrate the attempt to love yourself.
Right.
If a child sees you struggling, but then choosing to speak kindly to yourself, like correcting a negative thought out loud, that is actually a more powerful lesson than if you were just some robot of positivity.
It's the effort that counts. Okay, let's get to the craft project.
Yeah.
Because if the mirror routine is, too confronting at first, the source has this tactile exercise called the magic mirror.
This comes from the companion book, The Adventures of Lulu. It's framed as a journaling exercise, but really it's an art project.
The shopping list is basically drawing paper, colored markers, glue, and glitter.
Of course, glitter.
The instructions are to create a physical magic mirror out of paper, and I love this description, cover it in a riot of color.
A riot of color. It suggests this shouldn't be neat and tidy. It's not about staying in the lines. It's about expression.
So you make this paper mirror, and then you and the child take turns looking into it and saying wonderful things about yourselves. But there's a crucial last step, It's not just about saying it.
You have to write it down.
Exactly. The documentation.
Well, scientifically, there's a difference between thinking a thought, speaking a thought, and writing a thought down. When you write, I am smart, I am kind, you're creating a physical record.
It's like building a resume of why you're awesome.
It really is. And think about how rare that is. We have report cards for our failures, we have performance reviews for our gaps, but we rarely have a written record of our inherent goodness.
That's so true.
The source suggests you keep this list so you can read it back to the child or, yourself when you're having a hard day.
It's evidence. When the world tells you you're not good enough, you can pull out this piece of paper covered in glitter that says, actually, I could dance like a TV star, so back off.
It sounds silly, but that tangible evidence matters when you're spiraling. It anchors you.
That leads us right into the next section, which shifts from affirmations to just general communication. Because it's one thing to do these exercises, but the source warns about a trap we fall into during the other 14 hours of the day.
The don't trap.
Yes, this comes from the heart thought section for day 20. The core idea is, I communicate openly with my child. But the analysis of why we fail at this is really striking.
It is.
It lists what it calls the don't litany. And I think every parent, teacher, anyone will recognize this. Don't say that, don't do that, don't make that noise, don't feel that.
It's a barrage of negation, and the source makes this chilling connection. It asks a question that I think haunts a lot of families. Why do older children, adult children, eventually stop calling their parents?
Why does that silence happen?
And the answer isn't because they're busy.
No, that's the surface excuse.
The answer the text gives is because the lines of communication have been cut. And they were cut years ago, incrementally, by that one word, don't.
That is a punch to the gut. The idea that the silence with a 25-year-old started when they were 5 and were told, don't be sad.
It is about invalidation. Imagine a child falls and scrapes their knee. They cry. The parent, usually wanting to help, says, don't cry, you're fine.
Right, trying to soothe them.
The parent thinks they're soothing, but the child hears, my internal reality is wrong, my pain isn't real, my feelings are inconvenient.
And if that happens enough times,
the child learns that sharing their feelings leads to rejection or correction. So they stop sharing. They internalize the don't.
And then 20 years later, the parent wonders why their kid never opens up.
Precisely. The source offers a really specific alternative script. It's a simple pivot. Instead of don't cry, you say,
It's okay to feel sad, and you can talk to me about it.
Validation. It sounds so simple, but in the heat of the moment, when a kid is having a meltdown in the grocery store, it is so hard to do.
So hard.
It's incredibly hard. It requires the adult to regulate their own anxiety first. We often silence kids because their big emotions make us uncomfortable.
That's the real truth.
But the source frames this as the key to keeping those lines open forever. You're telling the child, you are safe with me, even when you are unhappy.
And coming back to the Trojan horse theme, this applies to the inner child too, doesn't it? I mean, how often do we tell ourselves, don't be sad, get over it?
Don't be anxious, you're being ridiculous.
Exactly. We are often our own strictest parents. We treat our own emotions with that same don't litany. We invalidate our own pain constantly.
We really do. We say, I shouldn't feel this way, instead of just, I am feeling this way, and that's okay.
Which is the perfect segue to the final and I think most profound part of this source material, the meditation.
Welcome the child.
Now, up until this point, the source has been kind of jumping back and forth between do this with your actual kid and do this for yourself. But this meditation, this is explicitly for the listener. It asks you to sit down, place a hand over your heart, and close your eyes.
It's a reparenting script. It asks you to visualize your inner child, maybe at age 5 or 6, and then it asks you to imagine hearing your parents saying things that, for many people, were never said.
I want to read some of these lines because they are so moving. It asks you to imagine hearing, we've been waiting for you. We wanted you so much to be a part of our family.
Wow. That speaks to the core human need for belonging. We've been waiting for you. So many people grow up feeling like a burden or an accident. To hear, we wanted you, that's foundational repair.
And then it pivots to identity. You don't have to be like us. You can be yourself. We love your uniqueness.
That is the permission slip so many of us never got. The permission to be different from our family and still be safe. So often, love in families is conditional on sameness. Be like us, believe what we believe, and you're safe. This script breaks that condition.
And then it just goes into pure, unabashed praise. You are so beautiful. You are so bright. You are so creative. The source says you can tell yourself all the things you wanted your parents to tell you.
That is the agency the source is giving the listener. And this is such an important psychological concept. You don't have to wait for an apology or a validation that might never come from your actual parents.
Would that not be capable of it?
They might not be capable, or they might be gone. But you have the power to give it to yourself now. The text says, no matter how old you are, the little child within you needs to be wanted and loved.
It's taking the power back. You become the parent you needed.
Yes, you stop begging for scraps of affection from the past, and you start feeding yourself the whole meal.
And the meditation ends with this really big spiritual affirmation. It zooms out from the family unit entirely. It says, the universe wants you here, and that's why you are here.
That's the ultimate belonging. It takes you out of the immediate, maybe dysfunctional family dynamic and places you in the context of existence itself. You aren't an accident. You aren't a mistake. The universe wants you here.
It's powerful stuff. Heavy but hopeful. So let's unpack what this all means for us today. We've looked at the sponge effect, the mirror work, the magic markers, the don't trap, and this reparenting meditation. What's the big takeaway here?
For me, it's the circular nature of this work. The source says, nurture the children in your life just as you are learning to nurture yourself. It's a feedback loop.
A feedback loop, yeah.
If you heal yourself, if you stop the negative self-talk, you stop passing that poison down. And conversely, if you practice these loving behaviors with kids, if you validate them, if you do the mirror work with them, you accidentally start treating yourself better too.
You can't help but get some of the glitter on yourself.
Exactly. It breaks the chain. That chain of you're not good enough that maybe has been running through a family for generations. It stops with you.
Standing in the bathroom, looking in the mirror.
Saying, I have cool hair.
And I am worth loving. I think that is the mission. And remember, the source was very clear. Perfection is not the goal. You don't have to be the perfect parent or the perfect self-healer.
You just have to show up.
Show up.
Be the shining example of the attempt. That's enough.
So here's our challenge to you, the listener. We talked about a lot today, but I want to leave you with a thought to carry into your day. We are often so hard on ourselves when we stumble.
We are. We're relentless.
We act like drill sergeants to our own internal state. But imagine if you spoke to yourself today with the same excitement and forgiveness you would offer a child who is just learning to walk. If a toddler falls down, you don't scream at them. You cheer for them to get back up. So here's the question. If you stumbled today, and instead of criticism, you gave yourself a round of applause just for trying, how would your entire day change?
It would change everything. It changes the whole texture of your reality.
That's it for this deep dive. Go find a mirror, maybe grab some glitter if you're feeling brave, and be kind to the kid looking back at you. We'll see you next time.
Take care.